Hello, and welcome to Allied Oil and Supply. My name is Kim, and I am the Director of Safety and Operations Compliance for Allied. During the next 30 minutes, we will discuss safety orientation, and you will have a short quiz to complete at the end of the presentation. During our training session, we will cover Allied Oil's general safety policy, hazardous materials, hazardous communication, personal protective equipment, PPE, fall protection, equipment usage, lockout tagout, material handling, confined space entry, fire prevention, bloodborne pathogens, basic first aid, accident and injury reporting, company vehicles, workplace violence, emergency response, and contact information. You will learn more about Allied Oil's policies such as our zero tolerance harassment policy, medical records access, benefits, and attendance policies from our Director of Human Resources. Let's get started. No smoking except in designated smoking areas. If you are a tobacco user, please see your supervisor to locate your branch-specific smoking area. All designated smoking areas should be a minimum of 25 feet away from your branch. Please remember to dispose of cigarette butts in authorized containers. Chew tobacco should be disposed of properly. We do not permit spitting inside Allied Oil facilities. No drug or alcohol usage is permitted during business hours. Wear the proper PPE. Accident and injuries must be reported to your supervisor immediately. We recognize that at times, people may feel they don't need to see a doctor, so they don't want to report. All injuries and accidents, regardless of impact to your personal health or property, must be reported. Did you know that you could lose workers' compensation benefits if you don't report an injury in real time? It has happened. All work areas are to be kept clean and clear of any materials that could cause injuries or illness to you or to others. Always remember that if you see a potential for injury or illness, you should fix the hazard or report it to your supervisor or safety director immediately. Use tools that are OSHA compliant and use the right tool for the job. Our complete alcohol and drug policy can be found in your employee handbook. In addition to pre-employment, post-accident, and reasonable suspicion drug and alcohol testing, all employees are subject to random drug and alcohol test. Failure or refusal to test will result in termination. Prescription medications can impair your ability to operate equipment safely. Always notify your supervisor of any prescribed medications you take. Medications have different impacts on individuals, so pay attention to your body and report to your supervisor when you need help. Hazardous materials are substances or materials that can burn, explode, react violently, or cause injury or harm to people, property, or the environment. Who at Allied Oil is a hazardous materials employee? The formal definition is a hazardous materials employee is any person who directly affects the safety of a hazardous material in transportation. This means our warehouse employees, our drivers, customer service representatives, our purchasing department, and managers. Hazardous materials general awareness training will be provided to you in a separate training session today. And we also have job-specific hazardous materials training to be completed separately. All employees have the right to know what hazardous chemicals are present in their work environment. Allied reviews our HAZCOM program annually and updates as needed. Your direct supervisor will share this information with you. Allied Oil also has programs in place to assure that our safety data sheets, SDSs, are readily available to you. You can find our SDSs on our website, www.alliedoil.com, within our Atom software, and our shared drive. We also audit containers, including secondary containers, to ensure proper labeling is present. Let's discuss SDS sheets. An SDS sheet provides the following information: identification of the material and the manufacturer, hazardous ingredients, physical and chemical characteristics, fire and explosion hazard data, reactivity data, health hazard data to include limits and symptoms, precautions for safe handling, control measures, and first aid. We recently used an SDS sheet to determine first aid measures when an employee had Freon spray on his skin. Our employee felt a burn and wasn't sure what to do. We reviewed the SDS sheet to determine if urgent medical attention was required. Personal protective equipment, PPE, is an outer shell that a worker uses to protect him or herself from certain hazards. Allied Oil provides job function appropriate PPE for all employees who may be exposed to real or potential hazards. We require that PPE is used while performing certain tasks. Your supervisor will review your JSA, job safety analysis, with you and will determine which PPE you should be issued. Eye protection is required in the unload and fill areas of our warehouses. Approved safety glasses are available at your branch. Contact lenses are not considered eye protection. And Allied Oil does offer an $80 reimbursement for prescription safety eyeglasses. All employees exposed to high volumes of noise are required to use ear protection. Our Industrial Services Division is likely to be exposed to high volume noises. Allied Oil will provide a set of earmuffs and a generous amount of earplugs for all employees who need. We do recommend Allied account managers carry earplugs in the PPE bag inside your vehicle. Always remember, when earplugs get dirty, you should dispose of them and get a new set. Allied Oil also provides hard hats, gloves, dust masks, and respirators to employees who need to wear them for certain job functions. If your position requires respirator use, your supervisor will provide additional training to you. If your job requires steel-toed shoes or boots, Allied Oil will reimburse 40% up to $80 annually. We do have discount programs available through Shoes for Crews and Red Wing Boots. Ask your supervisor for additional information. Everybody needs to be involved with personal protective equipment. Employees are responsible for the use and care of their PPE, and supervisors are required to ensure employees are wearing and properly using personal protective equipment. OSHA and Allied Oil require that any open edge higher than 4 feet have fall protection available. You will notice safety chains on our dock areas. Fall protection, such as a body harness, is required for any fixed ladder higher than 20 feet. This picture shows an example on how fall protection can lessen injury or potentially eliminate a fatality. you can see the anchor point is at 18.5 feet. With the body harness worn, the employee had a 3-foot safety factor versus a direct fall to the ground. Equipment usage and safeguarding. Guards should be in place on equipment whenever grinding or cutting work is performed. You are required to inspect equipment prior to usage. In the event a guard is missing, do not use the equipment and report it to your supervisor immediately. Use tools that are grounded. This means cords must have 3-pronged plugs. Again, always use the right tool for the job. Let's discuss lockout, tagout. Lockout, tagout is an OSHA standard that outlines procedures to prevent accidents and injuries caused by the release of energy such as electrical, mechanical, pneumatic, hydraulic, and fluids and gases. The lockout device is put on to guarantee the equipment is shut off. If you see a lock or a tag, do not touch. You will receive additional lockout tagout training in a separate training session. You should always avoid heavy manual lifting. If possible, use a forklift, dolly, or hand cart. If your position with Allied requires forklift usage, you will receive additional training. And for those of you that will not operate a forklift, you will receive forklift awareness training. If you need to lift manually, use the following safe lifting techniques. Size up a load before lifting. Bend at your knees. You always want to lift with your legs, not with your back. Avoid twisting or turning once you have made the lift, and keep the load close to your body. Always push objects rather than pulling if possible. And use the buddy system and ask for help with bulky items. You may notice cylinders in our warehouses and in our ESCO facility. Always report any leaking cylinders to your supervisor immediately. Secure all cylinders when not in use. All cylinders must be labeled or marked legibly to identify the contents. All other potentially confusing markings must be removed. Before transporting a cylinder, all valve caps and plugs must be in place, and whenever possible, transport cylinders by cart rather than by hand. Only authorized, specially trained employees may enter a confined space. Our Industrial Services and ESCO division will be provided the required training. A few examples of confined spaces include tanks, manholes, boilers, dike areas, tunnels, and sewers. In the event a fire occurs, employees should pull the fire alarm or sound the emergency air horn, get out of the building, and dial 911. Each branch has an emergency action plan posted on their branch safety communication board that shows designated meeting spots. You will also see a facility layout diagram posted on the safety communication board. The facility diagram shows fire extinguisher locations and all exit doors. Do not use a fire extinguisher unless you have been properly trained. It is important that you also know you are not required to use a fire extinguisher even if you are trained. If you are trained to use a fire extinguisher, yet feel unsafe or uncomfortable when fire is present, you should evacuate the building immediately, go to your designated meeting spot, and dial 911.
This is your typical Class A fire extinguisher. We use the pass method when putting out a fire. The first step is to pull the pin to break the seal, which is right here. You will aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the operating handle to operate the extinguisher to discharge the agent, and sweep from side to side from the base of the fire to extinguish the fire.
Your safety and well-being is of the utmost importance. Always, always notify your supervisor of any job-related injuries or accidents immediately. Our policy states to report within 1 hour unless incapacitated. If needed, your supervisor will arrange for medical evaluations. It is also very important to remember that near misses, injuries, accidents, or spills also need to be reported as soon as possible. The intent of the near miss is to track near misses, what could have happened, and to be able to provide a safe work environment for you. Your position with Allied Oil may require you drive a company-owned vehicle. You are required to obey all federal, state, and local laws. Always remember to operate company units in a professional manner. Company units are to be kept clean and organized. Smoking is not permitted in company vehicles. All accidents, regardless of damage, must be reported immediately. Always make sure you have the correct license to operate a commercial motor vehicle. We utilize a GPS system in our company vehicles. The GPS system assists Allied Oil with identification of high-risk drivers. We continually monitor harsh driving alerts that include speed, hard braking, harsh cornering, quick starts, along with fuel usage and unit idle time. Allied Oil does not permit unapproved passengers in our commercial vehicles. For example, a professional driver is not permitted to take his or her spouse or children with them on their routes. Allied values our employee safety and believes that distracted driving kills. All cell phone usage must be hands-free. We encourage you to avoid any distractions when driving. Our professional drivers will receive additional information regarding Allied Oil's policies. Bloodborne pathogens are infectious microorganisms in the human blood that cause diseases in humans. Examples are hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV or AIDS. You should always avoid contact with blood or body fluids. Each branch has a bloodborne pathogen kit located near their first aid cabinet that contains a disposable apron, disposable goggles, disposable shoe covers, disposable face mask, and cleanup materials including a biohazard red plastic bag. Instructions how to use are on the back of the bloodborne pathogen kit. Allied Oil offers detailed annual training to all employees. If you would like additional information, please reach out to your direct supervisor or you can call me. Allied Oil has first aid, CPR, and AED certified employees at each location. You will receive additional first aid training separately. Please ask your supervisor who the certified employees are at your location. I would like to take an additional moment here to discuss strains and sprains, as they are the most common injury at Allied Oil. Housekeeping and awareness of your surroundings is the best prevention to injury. In the event you do receive a strain or sprain, report the injury immediately to your supervisor. Basic first aid steps for the first 48 hours after an injury includes resting the injured area until it's less painful. Wrap an ice pack or cold compress in a towel and place over the injured body part immediately. Support the injured part with an elastic compression bandage for at least 2 days. And raise the injured part above the heart level to decrease swelling. Emergency action plans are located at each branch on the Branch Safety Communication Board. The Emergency Action Plan provides emergency contact information and what actions to take in the event of a tornado, fire, or workplace violence. Allied Oil's emergency action plans are updated annually or in the event a change has occurred within your branch. And remember, in the event of a fire, spill, or medical emergency, employees should contact their supervisor, regional vice president, director of safety, or dial 911. Allied Oil and Supply recognizes that violence in the workplace is a growing nationwide problem requiring a firm response. The cost of workplace violence is great, both in human and financial terms. Allied Oil believes that the safety and security of all employees is paramount. We are committed to maintaining a safe, healthful, and efficient working environment where employees and customers are free from the threat of violence regardless of source or type. Acts of threats or physical violence, including intimidation or harassment, that involve or affect the organization or occurs in the course of business conducted on or off Allied Oil's property will not be tolerated. Allied Oil will not tolerate, condone, or allow any discriminatory harassment of its employees by leaders, employees, customers, vendors, or others with whom Allied Oil does business. Allied Oil has zero tolerance for such harassment. In the event you notice suspicious activity or behavior, bullying, or non-professional conduct, notify your supervisor immediately. If you're not comfortable speaking with your supervisor, please contact our Human Resource Department. The best way to combat workplace violence is to know and communicate with the people we work with. If someone appears to not be themselves, simply ask them if they're okay or tell your supervisor. Knowing the people we work with helps provide not only a safer work environment, but also a productive, efficient, cohesive work environment. You've heard me mention branch safety communication boards several times today. You will find the following information on the branch safety communication board: an employee handbook, OSHA required documentation, branch specific action plan, facility layout diagram, 5S program instructions, emergency action plan, monthly safety calendar topics, our monthly company newsletter, safety bulletins, company-wide and branch-specific accident and injury trends. So regardless if you're in Wichita, Kansas or Sioux Falls, South Dakota, all safety communication boards have the same layout. This means if you're visiting a location and an emergency occurs, you'll know exactly where to locate local emergency information. In closing today, Allied Oil has monthly structured safety meetings at each location. Please participate and share your life's experiences with others. We are all involved with safety. I appreciate your time today and look forward to meeting and visiting with you. I can be reached on my cell phone anytime, and the number is 316 393 9760. Always remember to be safe and report any unsafe conditions immediately. Safety matters because you matter. Thank you.